नमस्कार दोस्तों, स्वागत है आपका मेरे चैनल नॉलेज ऑफ वर्ल्ड में। और प्लीज़ मेरे चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना, लाइक करना और प्लीज़ 200 लाइक तक पहुंचा ही देना। धन्यवाद। चलिए अब वीडियो को शुरू करते हैं। आज का हमारा टॉपिक है द बिगिनिंग ऑफ ब्रिटिश रूल इन इंडिया। लेट्स गेट स्टार्टेड। रिया एंड have their history quiz in the school tomorrow. They are sitting in park and preparing for it. Ria said, "Do you know which of the European powers first came to India?" Tina said, "Of course British came to India first." Ria said, "No, Portuguese were the first who came to India in 1498. I can't be wrong. Let me see." Tina realizes her mistake and reads out from the book. In 1498, the Portuguese sailor Vasco da Gama discovered a sea route to India via Africa. He reached to Port Blair of Calicut in Kerala. Ria, wow, Ria, you know so much about the history of India. You will surely win the tomorrow's quiz. Now here we have a question for you. Who discovered the sea route from Europe to India? Tick tick 1, tick tick 2, tick tick 3, tick tick 4, tick tick 5, tick 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 6, tick tick 7, tick tick 8, tick tick 9, tick tick 10. The answer is Vasco da Gama discovered the sea route from Europe to India. The coming of British. In 1498, Vasco da Gama of Portugal discovered the sea route from Europe to India. He sailed around Africa via the Cape of Good Hope and reached Calicut. He returned to his country with a cargo full of goods such as spices, calicos, silk, gold, pearls, enobi, and other luxury articles from India, which sold for 60 times the cost of his voyage. This news opened a new chapter in history of overseas trade by European power with India. The Portuguese were the first land at Calicut, which is known as now Kozhikode in modern day state of Kerala. They were followed by Dutch and French. The possibility of fruitful trade with India also drove the English to send ships to Indian ports. In 1600, Queen Elizabeth I granted a royal charter to English East India Company. By this charter, English East India Company, the only English company which could carry out trade with India. In 1615, the Mughal Emperor Jahangir allowed the EEIC to set up their first factory trading post in Surat. This allowed the EEIC to carry out trade within the Mughal territory. By 1623, the British had set up their trading post in Surat, Bhuj, Ahmedabad, and Agra. Wars fought to control of India. After setting up factories, their next aim of the British was to gain a complete control over trade and more territories in India. To achieve this, British fought numerous wars. Some wars were fought against French, Dutch, and for Portuguese trading companies. Other wars were fought against rulers of small kingdoms in different parts of country. Political dis- disunity in India. Today, India as country follows the same law and governed by a duly elected government. But those days, a part of Mughals, many other rulers ruled over different parts of country. In a way, India was made up of small kingdoms, each with its own ruler. These rulers fought again amongst themselves for control over large area and greater power. By 18th century, due to the weakness of Mughal Empire, the death of Aurangzeb in 1707, by small kingdoms with independent rulers were established. These were the kingdoms of Bengal, Awadh, Mysore, and others. The English East India Company took advantage of this political situation and waged war against the rulers of Bengal, Awadh, Mysore, and other kingdoms to further strengthen their control over India. Wars against the French. French East India Company was most important rival of British. Following a number of battles known as the Carnatic Wars, the British finally defeated French in 1760 and considerably reduced the French power over India. Battles over Bengal. The battles in Bengal were very important as Bengal was one of the richest provinces in India. British victory in Bengal allowed them to control over the wealth and province and further their trading interests. The, they fought the Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar to get control over the province of Bengal. Battle of Plassey 1757 was fought because of the Nawab of Bengal Siraj-ud-Daulah had ordered the removal of the British army from Kolkata. The British refused to listen to the Nawab. They fought a battle. Siraj-ud-Daulah died in the battle. A few years later, a battle known as the Battle of Buxar 1764 broke out between Nawab of Bengal Mir Qasim and EEIC. English East India Company had used their victory over the Battle of Plassey to get a number of privileges. The Nawab of Bengal, Mir Qasim, the company officials often made wrong use of privileges in order to make more money. The misuse of privileges reduced the income of the province of Bengal. Tired of this plunder by British, Mir Qasim waged a war against the company. He was supported in this war by the Nawab of Awadh, Shuja-ud-Daulah, the Mughal Emperor Shah Alam II. The alliance of Indian rulers was completely defeated by the army of EEIC and the later made themselves the masters of Bengal, Bihar, Odisha, and Awadh. Strengthening of the company's power. After the Battle of Plassey and Buxar, the company took steps to strengthen their position in India. They made alliances with some small kings in India. They also forced other kings to sign agreements that made them to take care of companies' expenses in India. These Indian rulers was also compelled to take care of the British army stationed in their provinces. Explosion of Indians and their resources. The company's rule over India was not a fair one. The Indians were considered to be inferior to the British. The Indians could not join the British services on higher posts. If they work in the army, the police force, or the judiciary, it was at lower posts. British also exploited Indians and resources. Factories in Britain were used raw materials to came from India. Peasants in India were therefore forced to grow crops that they were required for the British factories. Peasants had to pay heavy taxes to British even their crops had failed. They had to pay these taxes. At times villages were hit by famines. In 1770, the British did not care for people. Thousands of people died in these terrible famines. The revolt of 1857. The injustice and exploitative nature of the company's rule created a great disfa- dissat- dissat- dissatisfaction dissatisfaction among the people of India. These people include the Indian soldiers who worked in British Army, poor peasants, local rajas whose territories were taken away by the British landlords and common the people. All these people rose up a revolt against the British rule in 1857. This revolt was known as the First War of Indian Independence. The main leaders of the revolt were Mangal Pandey, the soldier of British Indian Army, Rani Lakshmi Bai, the ruler of Jhansi, Kunwar Singh, the landlord of Bihar, Begum Hazrat Mahal, the wife of Nawab of Awadh, the Nana Sahib, the Maratha chief, and Tante Tope, the loyal soldier of Nana Sahib. The leaders of the revolt of 1857 were severely defeated by the British army. After the revolt, company's rule over India was brought to an end. India came under the direct rule of the British Crown, and Queen Victoria became the Empress of India. Thank you.